Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's Comic Roundtable. Yay! Kermit the Frog Cheater. And with me today, I have Mike. He's incognito, hidden there behind his picture. He's picking up some lag today, so we got our fingers crossed and hoping that he can stay with me sonically, if nothing else, right?
Yeah, I've been pounding on my walls. I'm really thinking that my neighbor hasn't paid up his full internet bill, and that's probably our issue. So,
Oh, dang it. God, sucks when you're stealing from somebody and they're not paying their part.
yeah, exactly.
And all right, so we're gonna talk some books. We decided we're gonna talk Marvel first because this week was the final issue of Black Bolt. Black Bolt issue number 12, a series that me and Mike have been following from the beginning and really been getting a kick out of. What'd you think? What did you think of the ending? I'm always curious about ending books that have endings. What's that gonna be?
I thought it was good. I mean, right away when I finished it, of course, because the story was so great, how it ends, and I've debated this recently. When you have somebody you can talk to about an ending, you don't want it to be definitive. You're by yourself, you want a good ending, because then you can say, this is what happened. Batman, killed the Joker at the end of this. But it's the idea that if it's open ended, you can have lots and lots of discussions about what ifs and all this. Finding out that the jailer was only a Inhuman who had been tortured this entire time and evidently was just super powerful. I mean, I was totally wrong. I thought there would be way more involved with Black Bolt because how much we were tied into him, but it was good. I reread it again, and then I found it ended on a very good note. Ahmed is a great storyteller. It was a very sweet ending, and it prepared you for the new story of Black Bolt and Medusa in the new book that's coming up.
Which I have no intention of getting.
I will probably grab on trade or Hoopla or whatever, but yeah, when it comes to single issues, because of the quality of the paper that Marvel's using is what's been nailing me. I've been hit and miss. I don't want to, but I do want to because I want to talk about it on the show.
Right. It has to be special. I have to feel like you're getting something special if you're going to risk your fingerprints on it.
Yes, yeah. Which, once again, I did have marks on the back of mine, no matter how careful I am with this. So
yeah. It's hard. It's definitely hard as far as that goes. I really like the way this ended, too. I think it ends with to me, it feels like a clean ending. Yes. Black Bolt comes back from this journey as kind of resolved some things and stuff. I like the kind of place that he's in with his son. They have a moment that moment feels good. Crusher's back. Him and his wife have their moments. That's I enjoyed that too. I love the fact that at the end they're just hanging out at Titania and Crusher's house.
Yeah,
she must be playing like Wolfenstein or something.
Yeah,
she's playing video games and she's yelling at the Nazis and and stuff like that while Blinky and Crusher have a conversation about the difference between accepting handouts and stealing. Which I thought was pretty interesting, that whole thing. And Black Bolt is trying to fry eggs, which I don't know. I think that was pretty funny too. But yeah, I mean, yes, I really liked the way it ended. I liked what the jailer was. I liked the fact that it's just this ancient Inhuman that was probably one of the first prisoners in this awful prison to start out with, and he just kind of ended up being the prison bully or whatever as he gained power and fed on everybody else that was fed into this prison, and then that prison kind of mirrors. We get another look at just why is Black Bolt the way he is. We get a glance at his childhood, the fact that his dad kind of tortured him with nightmares and stuff like that. Under the guise of we need to make sure he's safe, right? Because I mean, his powers are so destructive. He can kill lots of people. Like if in the middle of the night he had a nightmare and cried out, he could kill everybody. so they do all this tests and tortures and all that kind of stuff on him and stuff. So,
and to prepare him to be king, because that was the thing too. You're not going to have friends because you are the king.
Right.
I thought that was good. Him drawing strength both from Blinky and his son and Titania, and I thought all of that was good. Even Medusa, because that kind of came from the last issue, that he continues to gain his strength from others. Because some people see it as a weakness. It is the strength of him. I did think that was just amazing, and the artwork, of course, just continued to be solid. Some of that in there when it's the child screaming at the jailer and how he starts warping the panels. It's just opposite of the Crusher the Creel on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ad. I thought that was kind of funny too, because that's you wouldn't have known that, but it says Creel will get more than he bargained for.
Right, yeah, I didn't have a clue. I will say one thing that really upset me about the book, and it's just ad placement. So you open the book up, right, and you get the typical Marvel, throwdown of what's happening in the book right now. You flip over, and the first page, the actual first page, is an ad.
Yeah.
That to me, that was really disruptive. It's like, what the hell? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Marvel fails on that point. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But it once again, it was all just a very strong book all the way through. I definitely hope people pick that up and trade. I just loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, it's a book that you're a comic book reader. You don't have to have a large breadth of understanding of the Inhumans to read this book and enjoy it and get it and have fun with it. I mean, I think you get a little more out of it if you know who Crusher is and some of that kind of stuff. But still, definitely a excellent book.
I did like how Creel did have to face his fears when he's talking to Titania about the jailer.
Right.
You see, I mean, he's the tough guy. And it was all like, no, he gets in your head and destroys you from the inside out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that is such a good description of
right.
it.
Well, and he threw his life away once to beat the jailer, right? I mean, he kind of says that, oh my God, now that I've done it and I've survived, I came back from that. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. I threw my life away. I could have somehow maybe come back with you. And instead I threw my life away. And she's like, no, that's a good thing. That's you being this person. I love his response to finding out that Captain America was at his funeral. It's like, what?
Yeah. And he spoke well of him. Yes.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. Funny.
Well, it was solid. I mean, I'll be interested to see Ward do some artwork for Thor. Though I am not picking up Ahmed's Exiles.
Yeah, I no. I mean, there's parts that I like, but I can't get around the cartoon Wolverine that's in it, and there's some other stuff about that. But I am interested in other stuff that he's written. I mean, I'm picking up Abbott from Boom Studios because it's written by him. It has really good storytelling in it also. So yeah, I would be paying attention to what else he is writing and give serious thought to other projects that he's going to do that he would be on.
Yeah. To touch on that, as much as we talked about Ward's artwork, so evidently he does it all on computer, is what I'm gathering.
Right.
And
now,
to purchase the original works, he gets one printing of each page, but he cannot do multiple prints.
Right.
I thought that was interesting because he spelled it all out on his webpage. So for all these different prices, and they are pretty high prices, around $100 for a print on a piece of paper, or maybe it was a cloth. I was trying to remember.
Well, no, it's glycerin, so it's a like uber quality cardstock, paper stock kind of stuff. Yeah.
Which I'm sure is going to be absolutely beautiful, full large size. But for it to be a print out of a computer image, I can't wrap my head around spending that kind of prices.
Right. Yeah, me neither. I mean, they are a one shot. He's signing it. It's the only, like I said, but me and you have copies of it too.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, now I own some of his artwork. I own a page of Odyssey, but that's back when he was still working. He would do most of the work. He'd do pencils, and then he put that in his computer to add the colors to it. Because a lot of his heavy lifting of his artwork is in the color. Yeah. So when I bought his art page, I also got not as high a quality as what he's selling with these original pages, original print pages. I don't know what you want to call them. Yeah. Not as high quality that, but still a high quality thing. So whereas I don't have a problem with buying, because I'm buying the original art.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost me a whole lot more than what he's selling those prints for.
And it was good. I mean, I see that he was selling them because he was marking them off as they sold. So, I mean, obviously people read it, enjoyed it, loved it. But it does make me wonder. There's a local artist in town who, of course, also is trying to do a lot of digital stuff. And then, I made requests for physical drawn items from him. He says, though, that, with shipping and all this kind of other stuff, he can send PDF files. People can print it any way they want. They can have the official write on that page, make as many as they want. So it's a little different than Christian's work. And I know that, was it from Saga, Fiona? She, didn't get the first 5 issues or more. It was all computer done. And then now she's learning to make a print copy so that she can get some original revenue out of this stuff too. Yeah.
I hadn't heard that, because the last time I had talked to her, which of course has been 3 years, because I went to an image panel and there was a conversation about working digitally and working physically. And a lot of the artists were like, I continue to work physically because I want that secondary revenue of being able to sell the original art. And she was like, well, I'm not bragging, but I make enough money just doing the book. I don't need that. And working digitally is just so much easier for me.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So, I mean, I know that's why a lot of the artists won't go digitals, because they have that secondary market that they like to make money in. And there's others that don't care.
Right.
They're not going to, spend the whatever. It's easier for them to work digitally.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are going to do the pencils original and then scan it in and then do all that extra stuff there. So
sure. Well, ultimately they scan it in anyway, because they send it to their colorist. If somebody else is coloring the book, it's going to get scanned in somewhere. I don't know. The whole digital process is, kind of changes the comic, art market in some way, and how those creators choose to make their extra money. And I'm not faulting Christian Ward for doing this. I think it's interesting. I'm surprised, quite honestly, that he's selling as many pages as he is. But good for him. I mean, that's great, and great for those people who own it, because it's like having a single reproduction of something. I mean, so there's a value there. I just don't. To me, it doesn't hold the same value as having. I own the original product, and these people don't. I mean, he still has the original product sitting on his computer somewhere. He can't really use it, but he still has it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just,
Yeah, it will be interesting to see it with a lot of those, because I mean, we're also talking I have to imagine a Del Mundo is the same way. Anybody that's got that flowy paint kind of style, I think, is probably, unless they somehow pencil it first and then scan over it. So.
Right. Well, there are lots of them who do that too, though. I mean, that's just that, there's, that's what Christian Ward originally was doing. He would pencil the roughs of what he wanted. Then he'd scan those pencils in, and then he would do the heavy lifting with the coloring, afterwards. But there are lots of them that do roughs digitally. They'll do the roughs, what they want it to be like, and then they print that out, and then they ink. Those that ink their own work will then ink the details after the fact, kind of thing on top of that. So it's a whole mixed kind of a medium in there as far as that goes. But like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Christian Ward thing, as long as you understand what you're buying. Because I know me and you, I've talked about it before. If you're buying really old art pages and whatnot, back in the day when they used to do color on the old books, they'd have layers of the different. They would they would take the picture and break it down into each layer of color, and they'd lay those over the top of each other, and that would all be laid over the top of the original piece of artwork, and then that's what they would use to photostat, a picture of it to print the actual comic from. And you can buy the photostats, which is basically a colored copy of really old work for a relatively cheap amount of money. And if you don't understand what you're buying, you could think, oh, because on eBay and places like that, they'll say, original photostat work, because it is the actual original, what they use to make the comic with, but it's not the original art. And if you don't understand that, you could get tricked into what in my opinion, get tricked into what you're buying, because underneath all of that may be the original work. Now, I have heard from talking with people like Phil Hester, who I've learned a lot from just talking art with him, because he's a big collector of a lot of great artists. That there has been stories about people buying those original photostats and the original work be underneath it. No one realized. You peel back those photostats, underneath it's original Kirby page or original, whatever, hiding underneath the photostat. So,
all right.
And there's nothing wrong with buying the photostats either, as long as you understand that's what you're getting and not like the original piece.
Yeah. Because I also remember when you first were talking about purchasing art and you had all that, you also talked about prints that, there should be an explanation on the bottom of, like 1 of 10, 1 of 25, it should be very limited runs. But then you have to be careful that they don't do a secondary run or a third run, which is what they could also do afterwards with some of this stuff.
Right. Well, because otherwise, in my opinion, they're kind of lying to you about what you're buying.
Yes.
I mean, because, most of us, when it comes to the regular art world in general, most of us can't afford to buy or don't want to spend our money in that way to buy actual original art. Of any relatively known artist. So they'll print extremely nice prints on a limited run. We're only printing 100. We're only printing 50, whatever they're choosing to print. And then it's numbered 1 of 100, 2 of 100, 59 of 100. And so that has some, I don't know, innate resale value if that artist ever goes up in value or whatever. Even if it's a print, it has a certain amount of value to it based on how limited it is, right? The reason our old comic books are more expensive is because they're fewer and farther between, and it's harder to find ones that are in nice condition because chances are they've just fallen apart over the years. Those really old books, like those first Superman and Batman, a lot of those got recycled during the war, so they just aren't around. So that's the value. And the value in Walking Dead issue #1, besides the fact Walking Dead is really popular, is because it was an extremely limited print run. It wasn't a popular comic when it first came out, so they only printed a few.
Yeah.
So that's with the art. If you're getting prints, that's the value in the print. Beyond your own, and then it doesn't matter. Realistically, it doesn't matter if you don't care and you just love to have that cool print on your wall. It doesn't matter if there's 1,000 of them out there. If it's cool, right? So it depends on why you're buying. If you're buying it with some thought in your head that, there could be some resale dollar value to this at some point down the road, those are things you want to watch out for. Those are things you want to pay attention to. If you don't care, if you just want to bitch and picture of Wolverine popping his claws out, cool.
Yep. And I guess, as you've always said, be comfortable with what you spend on it. So
right, yeah, yeah. You have to justify it in some way, whatever it is you're buying. You have to justify it. Whether it's original something or it's 1,000 print copy, you have to justify why it is you're spending the money on it. Yep. That's why there's art out there that's totally unattainable for me, because I can't imagine spending the amount of money I would spend on a car.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from posted on Twitter by Phil Hester many a time.
Yeah, it's,
do I want medicine or do I want art?
Right. So, and commenting on the fact that if his wife really knew how much money he spent on art, he would be in a lot of trouble. So, yes. Yeah. I'm fortunate in that way. My other half is probably bad for me because she's just like, yeah, I'll go buy it, whatever. So, which is great, except for that means she's not my voice of reason when I go, oh, I want this You know, I want this page of Frostbite. You know,
She appreciates your vices.
exactly. She's like, you should have bought the cover with the Frostbite cover.
Yes, I just saw that. Oh yeah.
And she's like, oh, you should have bought the cover. I'm like, oh God, no. I was afraid to ask how much it was. So yeah.
So you have to make sure you didn't sell any of the children on the.
That's right. No, just the organs. I wouldn't sell the whole kid. A lot of
blood and organs, yeah.
I wouldn't sell the whole kid. I just sell the organs. Yeah.
He's got 2 kidneys.
Yeah. Come on.
All right.
So.
All right. Enough of that.
All righty. Any other Marvel books you want to talk about?
Yes. Lastly, of course, Tales of Suspense, featuring
yes.
Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier. Red Ledger, Part 4 of 5. This continues to be a very funny buddy cop kind of book with, of course, Clint and Winter Soldier. They're doing a great job as they are trying to hunt down. People are dying and leaving little symbols of the Black Widow. Hawkeye believes Widow is alive. Winter Soldier believes that she is dead, but someone else is trying to frame her. They do find one of the other Black Widows, Yelena Belova, I believe is how they pronounce her name. She was a Thunderbolt and all that, and the blonde Black Widow, many of us know her as. It was great to see the encounter. She dies, and of course they're like, well, I guess someone else is doing this. They continue until they find Natasha. Natasha is alive. Then she kind of explains to them, this is what happens. I was captured by Red Room. There's new owners. When she awakens in this room, I guess Captain America in Secret Empire cut her head off with his triangle blade, whatever, which I knew she died. I didn't know how she died. I'm like, wow, okay. So she remembers that. And she's in this room. She doesn't understand how they got her back. Ursa Major, the bear from Russia that talks, is in there and explains, I'm not supposed to be in here talking to you, but this is what happened. He goes, remember everything. Evidently, they're making copies of all of the Black Widows. So there was like 3 or 4 different Black Widows. Each one has like 5 or 6 clones. And then there is a precog who has ESP abilities, can keep reading their mind, dumping the information into all these clones. Therefore, you have many, many, many of these. So yes, she died. Yes, she's back. Yes, she's still killing. Yes, she's still a good guy. But then she knocks both of the guys out, sets it up so it looks like she kills them because I believe she's going to take out the Red Room. So it's good. I mean, it's that fun buddy comedy with a decent spy novel feel to it.
So, Mike, did you read Matt Fraction and David Aja's Hawkeye run?
No, I did not.
Okay. So I'm just curious, do they portray Hawkeye in that as being kind of, I don't know if a dope is the right word, but just kind of goofy?
Knucklehead, yeah, he's a knucklehead, yeah.
Now, see, he wasn't always that way, right? I mean, I don't remember him being, I mean, this is me going way back. I don't remember him being that way in the West Coast Avengers. So I'm dating myself to like the, mid to late 80s here, but
well, I think because he's a reformed criminal, he was always trying to be the next Captain America without being Captain America. I remember they used to always be at each other's throat, or at least Clint was always at Cap's throat. Like, I am not you. I'm never going to be you. Right. I'm my own leader. So I think he held a certain kind of adultness there. Yeah. But when he's with the whole group, he's the one most likely to fly off the handle, be a little bit more knuckleheadish, make mistakes.
So him, the way he acts in that book isn't really out of character, old school out of character. Because I was just thinking about it because I saw, the reason I asked, I saw on Twitter some captions that I think are from that issue that has them, the two of them kind of, him and Bucky arguing with each other, Winter Soldier arguing with each other about something like, I'm here to watch you. Well, I'm here to watch you watch me. And I'm here to watch you watch me watch me. Kind of a conversation. And I just wondered if Fraction and Aja set him to being that kind of Rockford Files kind of a
Yes.
more of a character. And everybody else in the Marvel universe has embraced him being that way. Because certainly in the Hawkeye stuff that I read with Kate Bishop, anytime he shows up, that's how he acts. He acts like that version of it. And I just wondered if that's been kind of the adopted in the Marvel universe now. That's the way Clint is.
Yeah, it's the new reset. If he was striving to be a leader again and there was more danger, I think we would see more adult out of him. But I think when he doesn't have to be, when he's a buddy or a part of the lower echelon, he gets to just be fun guy.
Okay.
Or Hawk guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't imagine they'll do anything else. I think with Tales of Suspense, as this continues into the new Marvel, What's Up Now, New Start, Head Start,
Fresh Start.
Fresh Start.
Yeah.
So I would see that this was a fun run that Rosenberg evidently, must have pitched to somebody and they loved it, so they're using it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll never see it again.
So. Right. Well, they wanted to tell this story or whatever and use the Tales of Suspense because that's an old Marvel title. You use that as the umbrella for it, right? So
yeah, because I think the last I remember it was like because like Loki was using it and then Sif was using it, and so I was wondering why they used Tales of Suspense. I guess they just to get their legacy numbering of 100.
Oh yeah, that's probably why. Yeah,
couldn't find 100 Hawkeye books or Winter Soldier books. So.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. So that was my Marvel.
Cool. I can't remember if like last week. I don't remember if I read any Marvel books. I'm thinking I
was gonna say you just have Miss Marvel otherwise, don't you?
Yes, Black Bolt, Ms. Marvel. Now it's just Ms. Marvel because I dropped Doctor Strange. Yeah.
I really love what Donny Cates has done with Thanos, but of course now what I figured out is why bother? Get the trade.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can't, unless I'm dying to talk about something with you, it's just better off for me to pick up all my Marvel and trade now.
So speaking of that, of course, just a while ago, they were talking about the next Thor book, which Jason Aaron is still writing, and everybody seems to love the Thor book. The guys on Twitter were just talking about it being the best ongoing series in the last 20 years or whatever. Just rubbing it in that I didn't pick it up in singles. But Source, it's gonna go on. Odin's son is back to being Thor, and Del Mundo and Christian Ward are sharing art duties on the book. We talked a little bit about it off air. Are you gonna pick that up in singles?
I'm guessing they're only going to do the first arc. That was the only problem. I loved Dodderman's art in Thor, and then every once in a while we get 2 or 3 or so in a row of somebody else, and it would piss me off. Or they would have to chop it up and tell all these other stories. So I would get 2 pages of Dodderman and then a whole bunch of other pages of somebody else. And I'd rather they just stop the book in between or drop the price, because I mean, I'm not overly happy at paying $3.99 for what I'm getting out of my Marvel books.
Right. So you're saying you're not going to pick it up in singles then?
No, I'm going to. Cause damn it, I'm a zombie on these things. Del Mundo and Ward's art. I have to imagine I will. Yeah. I will leave a fingerprint. I will scream. I will continue to bitch every time on our show. So you're stuck with hearing that, I'm sure.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I can totally relate. I haven't decided. I chickened out on Avengers. I was going to get Avengers, and I chickened out on it. The new Avenger book, I didn't order it. I thought I could go to the quasi local comic book store we have here and pick it up because, of course, it's a Marvel book. It's the book they're going to have. Currently, the comic book store, their finances are so messed up that right now Diamond will not sell them books.
Oh. Okay.
Their credit's no good. I guess they had an employee that went rogue on them while the owner was away sick and just kind of jacked things up. So right now they aren't getting current books because I had planned, because there were some books that come out that I got, well, I heard people talking about them. I'll just go to the store and buy them. And I show up there and they're like, no, we don't have any current comic books right now. I'm like, God. So yeah, so I don't know.
All right.
I may regret that. I don't know. I haven't decided, but I haven't decided on the Thor book if I want to jump on it. The stuff that was before when it was Thor, I probably really would have liked, and I regret not picking it up in singles. Odin's Son Thor, I have a hard time getting into that book. I mean, it'll be great art, but I have a hard time being interested in the story for very long. When Jason Aaron first started on Thor, and it was, who was the artist? Edric? What's the guy's name?
Oh, I know. During the God Killer.
Yeah, the God Killer and the God Bomb stuff. I collected it then. I really liked the art. But I just never really got that excited about Thor. Thor's one of those characters I like seeing in a group and whatnot. Yep. He's fun. I like watching him interact with like the other Avengers or whatever. You know, I thought he was amusing to see him interact with the Punisher in a Punisher story that I was reading. But I just have a hard time being excited about Thor as a character. So I don't.
Some friends that I have that are here in the 605 who love it are saying, though, it's like Aaron knows. He's like, I can write 100 issues. So I'm going to tell a story over 100 issues. And it is a love-hate thing where you're like, oh, I love this, but I really want it to wrap up. You know, it's like, you know, you're getting this very, it's like The Hobbit. I like The Hobbit, but I wouldn't like to read it again. It was too long. And Aaron's stuff is the same way. It's like, oh, I love this, but anything that you don't like gets dragged through 4 or 5 issues.
So yeah, I'm of two minds about that. I like a long story as long as there's a good payoff at the end of it all. So yeah, I'm of two minds. I'm one of those people that I both want my comic books to have short stories. They're just done, you know, one and done as much as possible. But at the same time, I like a long serialized. I'm enjoying the hell out of Saga. Half the time, I swear to God, nothing happens, but everything happens in that book. Yeah. You know, kind of a thing. So.
And I think that is great whenever, you know, one of my other books we'll talk about, it's Manifest Destiny. You love it when everything is going great, but if there's any 1 or 2 things that picks at you, you don't want it through 10 issues.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely the case. Alrighty, so any other Marvel news?
No, I kind of looked back at my Facebook stuff. I didn't see anything.
The only Marvel thing that I know that's going on right now is Amazon digitally is selling full trades for 99 cents. And it's causing quite an uproar with clearly, you know, retail stores like your local comic book shop and that sort of thing. Because how are they supposed to sell their physical copy of a trade if we can go for 99 cents digitally? A trade for 99 cents makes digital sound good to me.
Yeah.
And we know how much Travis hates digital, but that is a damn hard price to beat. So retailers are starting to say, I am no longer, I'm canceling my order for all Marvel trade products. I'm not going to sell anymore because you set up a situation that makes it impossible because, you know, how do I try and sell this to my customer when there's this super cheap thing out there, you know, kind of going on. And of course, this weekend was a retailer summit kind of a thing. And they did not, the Marvel people who were at that retail summit did not sound like they had good answers to the retailers. It's like, well, we'll look into it. We don't know. You know, but it needs to be, you know, as far as the retailers are concerned, it needs to be fixed right away because, you know, there's some theory that Amazon is doing this because Amazon doesn't like Marvel Unlimited because that's a competitive thing with their digital product. And you know, you can get Marvel Unlimited on any device except for the Kindle, for instance. So there's some question about whether or not it's Marvel. I mean, it's Amazon wanting to crush the competition that that Marvel Unlimited is. I don't know. That's all conspiracy kind of stuff. But I do know that there's quite a brouhaha going right now with the physical brick and mortar stores, because this goes beyond, oh, we're just selling a few digital comics. This is pretty radical when you're talking a full trade at 99 cents. Is
well, and I am a big digital reader, but that's what's also ridiculous is, so if I go to the Marvel app that I have on my iPad, and I go and I'm like, hey, I would like to buy that same trade, it is still at almost a near full price compared to, and I'm like, so the product that you guys own and can sell on your own device, you're saying no, only Apple.
Yeah.
So
well,
I don't understand that.
Yeah, you know, on Amazon, you know, people are like, well, you know, clearly Marvel must have some sort of deal with them. They don't have to. Amazon can choose to sell that at a loss, because they may be selling it at a loss because it's $1 trillion business.
Yeah,
they sell that stuff at a loss now. If it's, you know, I mean, if you're being Machiavellian about it, to crush the competition that's someplace else, and that's what it does. You know, kind of a thing. You know, it's like I don't know. People are familiar with Costco stores. You go in because there's a deal on something. You know, you can get 100 tubes of toothpaste for, you know, 10 cents a tube, but that's an awesome deal. And while you're in there, you get suckered into buying something that is at full price or more than full price because you're there buying something that was on a great deal, kind of thing. And that's what Amazon does too. So, you know, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It was interesting as far as the non-comic book with the more market end of it, them selling that stuff at that price, how potentially crippling that is for a brick and mortar store. So, and what does that do? Does that just crush Marvel worse? If that becomes a growing trend of, you know, right now I've heard about like 5 or 6 stores that have definitely said, we are not ordering, we're canceled all of our orders for all of our Marvel books, and we'll sell other stuff because other companies that want to sell stuff, we'll sell that other stuff. We're not selling this stuff anymore unless you fix this and give us a reason why it happened, you know, kind of a thing. So if that becomes a larger trend, that just hurts Marvel even further, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I'm still under the concept that if Marvel were to suddenly completely collapse and not sell another comic book, it would probably break Diamond. And if it breaks Diamond, then who the hell is distributing the rest of the comic books that I like to read? I don't know. It could be a disaster as far as a lot of that goes. So I don't know. And I don't hate Marvel. I don't want to see Marvel go away. I don't. Some of their practices I'd like to see go away, but you know, not the comics themselves. So
yeah, and it has amazed me because I know Marvel does a couple of really great Star Wars books, but then Disney did go to IDW and say we have these other kids books, you know, and I understand that they have maybe a different market. And they can make money because IDW will pay them for the rights as opposed to Marvel.
Right.
But it is kind of almost a slap in a way that, you know, there's more money that could be made and we're not doing it at Marvel. We're going to do it somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's got to be some infrastructure or something there that makes the IDW a better place to sell those kids' books.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the albatross that is the Marvel name right now, as far as, you know, Nazi Captain America and all the other stuff that's happened here recently that they want to saddle any more books with. I don't know. No idea. And
just slightly off tangent, of course, you know, looking at, you know, buying maybe Marvel toys and stuff like that. The Toys R Us store in my town, my wife happened to stop by and there's a sign out on the door saying there is no liquidation. I don't know where you heard this, but there will not be any liquidation at the store.
Right.
And I'm like, what? That's weird. That company's going out of business. What do they think they're going to do?
Yeah. Well, they'll sell the product to somebody else.
Yeah.
Is what'll happen. Because that's what happened with the Hastings store with some of their stuff. Some of their stuff they sold at nothing, and then some of the stuff they kept at full price and sold to somebody else when Hastings went under here. So
that's why you never got the full-size Batman?
That's why. It didn't get down to the percentage that I needed it to get down to justify a full-size Batman for my house. So
that would have been awesome.
Right. It would have been, but at the same time, that's venturing off into the level of collecting and weirdness that I was a bit afraid to get into. So some of that stuff you can't come back from, and I just kind of felt like that was. The only thing that would have been cool about that is when everybody else is showing off their action figures, I can slam that son of a bitch down and go, "Oh yeah." So
6 foot tall Batman.
It was taller than that because it was taller. It was taller than me. So, yeah,
man,
yeah. Any rate, let's move on. Let's move on. We picked on Marvel enough. Move on to DC Comics.
All right.
Do you have DC Comics?
I have the Terrifics from last week.
Right on. Okay. Issue number 2.
Yeah, issue number 2. Of course, it touches back on Tom Strong and the group, explaining how Phantom Girl was stuck in the, I don't know, whatever dimension, metal dimension.
Right.
That her family tried to escape from this hole, and by accident, they pushed her through and they escaped the other way.
Right.
So it's good. I enjoy it. I love this team. The splash of color. It really makes me feel like when I was younger, the great, fun, adventurous groups. Of course, huge double-page spread because they're inside this giant, almost Galactus-sized creature, and they're in his ribs. So you get that wonderful picture. Minus all the Bendis pages and everything. Lastly, we find out that, the group cannot separate as they get ready. Mr. Terrific gets ready to leave. An energy source kind of pulls them together, and evidently they must be a team. They must stay very close to each other.
Right. They're bonded in some fashion or another. Yeah. I love the art in it. There's some elements I like. I'm not totally digging the book, though. I don't like the characterization of Metamorpho. Him being kind of a dumb meathead. I'm not excited by that at all. Mr. Terrific seemed less than caring. Oh yeah, I'll look into that, but I've got other things to do right now. And he's like, he almost had these elements of mad scientist to him. Where you kind of you ignore what's going on around you, or you're oblivious to what's going on around you because you've got a piece of science to figure out. And he's walking off with that antenna to figure out what's going on with it. And he's like, we'll worry about you some other time, Phantom Girl, even though she's stuck intangible. And if she gains solid form, she corrodes and annihilates everything around her. I would think that would be a pressing concern to look into that right away. Here's this poor young girl who basically is toxic to everybody if she, gains her physical form, and he's kind of blowing her off. And so some of that characterization I'm not real keen on compared to the old characterizations that I have of those characters. So some of those elements I wasn't real keen on, but I'm going to give it a few more issues and see how that really works for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I can kind of see, I think Lemire may have made some of these judgments based off of, like, he wants this one to fit this role, this one to fit this role.
Sure.
And then he didn't really want to flush them out too much. I mean, that's probably the problem, is that they're fuller characters than what they are. So I hope they grow a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and my other wonder is these are plot-driven stories as opposed to character-driven stories, because they're Lemire and the artist come up with a basic idea of what the story is going to be. The artist does the pages, and then the writer goes back in and scripts it based on the art that he's given.
All right.
Because it's art driven, which is different than a lot of the other books that are out there are I don't know, depending on who you talk to, depends on what kind of collaboration it is, kind of a thing. Typically it's there's a healthy amount of it is driven by the writer. But so I don't know how in-depth these characters are going to get if it's plot driven and art driven as opposed to character moments driven. I don't know how rich these characters ever get to be. And I question that about all of these books that are part of the new line of heroes from DC, because that's how they're all built. They're all, billed as the artist. The artist is what it's about, which I'm great with them celebrating the artist. But I'm not very excited about books that are plot driven as opposed to character driven. I'm much more invested. Black Bolt, I'm not invested in that because the parts I love about the book isn't the, oh no, they're thrown in a prison. It's how are they personally dealing with it? Seeing Crusher be the hero, him dealing with his kids, all of that stuff. That's all that's all character. That's got nothing to do with plot. It's character, and so I don't know. I don't know how these books are going to play with me because of that.
Well, and wasn't Doc Shaner supposed to be the original artist on it? Do you think
Yes.
that would affect?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I love the art that's there.
Yeah.
I just don't know if
I was just gonna say, do you think it'll be a bit of a twist after the first 5 issues when he comes on, that maybe there's, Rice had to kind of kick some stuff out. It looks beautiful, but maybe didn't think as much as maybe what Doc has been wanting to do with it.
It could be. I don't know how much I don't know what the level of communication between creators are. How much give and take there is in that whole kind of Marvel way of doing a book. I don't know.
All right.
So as the book gets into the next arc and we get we get Shaner on it, maybe they have more of a discussion to get more of that stuff there. Cool. I'll be excited about that. I don't know.
All right.
But that's the hiccup I see with these books of being plot driven as opposed to character driven.
Yeah, I understand
for me. So
yeah. Which is why I really liked Longbox reviewing a bunch of these. I know that he's got individual issues that he's really kind of focused on with this podcast. So yeah, there are definitely a lot of them that I didn't want to touch, but I'm glad to hear about. So
right, that's kind of where I'm at too. So I'm glad he's the one that's reading them. So I don't have to check them out. And to tell you the truth, this week's books anyway have had ads in the back of all of them for
Brimstone.
No, The Unknown.
Oh, okay.
Challenges of the Unknown, or is it just called The Unknown? It's kind of a takeoff of the Challenges of the Unknown. If it isn't actually the Challenges of the Unknown. I'm going to look really quick. Okay. Oh, what it's called, the New Challengers. Is that what it is? The New Challengers. That's what the book is. I was thinking about getting that because I like the Challenges of the Unknown. But just quite honestly, after this little chunk, because it's Andy Kubert doing the art and Scott Snyder and Aaron Gillespie doing the writing on it. This little ad. Normally, I don't read the ads. I read it, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to order that book now.
Right.
So that leaves me just the Terrifics, because the other ones I'm not interested in, to be quite honest. So, I don't know. I don't know how excited I'm over the whole dark metal universe thing kind of polluting the rest of the DC universe either. Maybe because I didn't read it, so I'm not that excited about it. So...
And I've heard such a different reaction. I mean, there are people that, since it wrapped up, yeah. And then there are other people that are like, I'm so glad I barely touched this.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like I missed anything. I just find it annoying now that there's this stuff. It's kind of trickling in everywhere. In the other books and whatnot. So I don't know. We'll see. I am going to get when those Justice League books come out. I'm going to get the weekly book that's for 1 month, those 4 issues. I'm going to get that. I'm a sucker. And I'm probably going to try all of the 3 new Justice League, the 3 Justice League books that come out, Justice League Dark, Justice League Odyssey, and the regular Justice League book. I'll probably try all 3. I think.
So what are the first 4 that you're talking about then?
That first 4, it's the next thing that Snyder's doing. The Justice League books are ending, and then there's going to be that 4-issue, 1 issue each week. What's it called? It's Justice League something. But it's got the weird teams. It's got the teams of.
Okay, that I was interested in. Yeah.
Right, but that's going to come out one a week for that 1 month. Each week's going to be another part of the story with each one of those different teams.
Okay, all right. The No Justice.
No Justice, yes. Right. Those 4 books.
Yeah. All right, so those are all just one-shots each.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought there were going to be like 4 different books.
No, I think those are one shot each. It's more this juggling after the dark metal stuff, I think. There's going to be some juggling there of whatever cosmic proportions are going to go on that basically, like Lex Luthor and Brainiac get together and go, these are the teams we need to have. These are the teams that make sense, even though they seem illogical for some reason, that this is what makes sense for whatever it is they're doing. You know, there's a reason they put poor Beast Boy on a team with Batman, you know, and sending him off in to do something. Yeah. I guess. So, I don't know.
Well, I guess I'll pick up all 4. I thought it was going to be all different series, so I was going to have to pick one series and go, okay.
No, those 4 books are just 4 individual books, you know, kind of tied together, you know, a little mini event kind of thing. And then the other regular Justice League books will start after that. So,
all right.
Yeah. Let's see.
What did you get?
I've got DC books this week. So Batman 44. I ended up with both covers because this is the cover I could originally order, and then a month later, Discount Comic Book Service said, "Oh, hey, DC's told us there's other cover. It's a Jolene Jones? Yeah, Jolene Jones cover." And so I ordered it too.
Oh yeah.
Because I couldn't figure out how to get rid of this one. I mean, I didn't really feel the need to have both. I mean, I like both, don't get me wrong, but I didn't feel the need to have both, and I definitely would take the Jolene Jones over. Not that I dislike Janen's art. Anyway, so that's why I ended up with 2 issues. Really, really like the book. It's gorgeous because every other page, one page is Janen, one page is Jones, one page is Janen, one page is Jones. So the Jones stuff is in this is Catwoman wakes up in the middle of the night, sneaks out from Bruce and goes on a little jaunt. And the other page is flashbacks of different encounters between Batman and Catwoman over the years. So like you get this great run of all of her costumes. I mean, they put every Catwoman costume there ever was in this book. Weirdly though, the Catwoman part of this, she breaks into a wedding gown, a place where they sell wedding gowns, and kind of prowls the place, trying on wedding dresses, drinking their booze, eating their chocolate, looking for a wedding dress. And she steals a $28,000 wedding dress. She has a boyfriend who's like one of the richest people, and she steals her wedding dress. So I don't know. I don't know what I think about that part of it, but the book looks, like I said, the book looks gorgeous between.
Well, has she ever said to him that she's giving it all up? I mean, isn't that kind of the struggle with her? Does she stay herself? Does she stay Catwoman?
I don't know. I think Catwoman hangs with Batman now. Anything Batman does, Catwoman's involved in at this point. But like I said, there's this great, I mean, this old page of, a scene of Batman taking care of one of Celine's legs, kind of a thing. And then the other one is Catwoman sneaking through some, underwater sewers and stuff like that to break into the wedding place. Like I said, the art is just gorgeous in it. One here of Catwoman actually saving Batman. This wall is going to collapse on him, and she jumps in the way and takes some bricks to the head. And Robin's like, oh my gosh, I don't understand. She played the hero here, kind of thing. Just different parts of their relationship, and there's this great one here of her in a green costume. I quite frankly don't remember this costume, but I actually really like the way it looks. I like the glasses mask with the little ears on it in green is kind of. But here she is, just kind of rolling around. I don't know. Like I said, I liked it, but the whole her stealing the wedding dress seems pretty crazy to me. But the book looks beautiful. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying this whole wedding thing. I'm just gonna be so bummed out if they screw this whole wedding thing up. Because I'm becoming attached to Celine being around. And there's this great double page spread of them out talking about the fact that Batman's saying they're changing, what if they're going to change in a way that they don't know how to deal with each other. And she's like, we're just changing costumes. That's all it is. We're just changing. Of course, the whole issue, they've been changing costumes throughout the thing. So, it's some classic Tom King writing, and I'm growing to really like Tom King's writing. This is the good Tom King writing, as opposed to that when the Rebirth Batman first started out. I did not enjoy that Tom King, as I've said a million times. I am really liking this his foray through Batman now has been really enjoyable. I'm really liking the aspects of it and stuff.
So when it comes time, do you want there to be a wedding that gets interrupted by all the bad guys, or do you want them to sneak off and get married somewhere, or
I just want them to get married.
you just want a good wedding episode? All right.
Yeah.
Because
I want a good wedding episode that's not a lie. You know, I don't want like what happened with Green Arrow. He finally gets married to Black Canary, and then after it's all done, you find out that it was never really him. He had been kidnapped before that, and it was a doppelganger in his place, and she actually married some, weird mutant something or other. And then the relationship is never the same. I hope that doesn't happen.
You've read way more comics than I have, sir.
That's right, I have.
I was just thinking of every like Fantastic Four. I think the premise on them, they always get their renewal of marriage always screwed up, or
right.
An X-Men wedding. No X-Men wedding can actually happen because
one's
somebody
coming up.
must attack. Yeah, and there will be Sentinels. There will be Magneto.
Right.
There will be things that make it X-Men.
I'm hoping not. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to mess with it. I guaranteed. We've still got issue 50 is when they get married. That's 6 issues from now. So we got 3 months, 6 6 issues. Issue 50 is when that's supposed to happen. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I expect them not to get married. I expect something to wreck it at something. I just hope it's really good, whatever it is. I just hope it's done well, because, as a fanboy, I am now 100% invested in these two people getting married. So it better be good. If something wrecks it, it better be good.
They haven't brought Damian yet on his thoughts on this, have they?
Briefly, they have addressed it a little bit. He seems fine with it. I mean, it's not like he's going to throw some big fit. I mean, people are still kind of trying to adjust the fact is that she's a criminal. She's a career criminal, and that's who he's getting married to. What's up with that?
Yeah.
But the people that really know him, that really know Batman and Bruce, can see past that. And I like that. I mean, I like that it's not easy. It's complicated, and it should be that. I kind of want to see him get married because, for so long it was like, oh no, people can't get married in the DC universe and whatnot.
Yeah.
I want to see the marriage. I want to see the complication because your life doesn't get simpler when you get married.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of these writers are like, oh, I won't write a character that's married because they're done then. It's like, your life isn't done. I mean, oh my God. This gets that much more complicated. To me, that's an interesting story. I think it's interesting if they get married and she still has her, her forays into whatever and kind of thing. I mean, he's had to justify it somehow this whole time, so he's going to have to figure out how to justify it going forward. And I think that's an interesting dilemma for him,
Yes.
So I'm hoping.
Especially because it would be a very unique story. Like you said, there is so few married couples. Mm-hmm. And when they are, that's never the subject of the comic. Right.
And there's no reason that she, doesn't just hang out and be Batman with Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that she isn't, that removes her from being her own person, but yeah. So I'm enjoying it, and I want to see them get married, but I fully expect them not to. I guess is where I'm at with it. I want it to happen, but I will not be surprised if it doesn't make it.
Yes.
And then
it must be glorious.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know that it'll be that. It may be something really simple too. I have no idea. I don't know. Other than she's got $28,000 wedding dress, and it looks really nice. So.
Yep.
But yeah. Along the same lines of the Batman book, I am picking up Deathstroke. This is issue number 30. I decided I'm going to do it. I'm talking about things I'm apprehensive about. So this Deathstroke is Deathstroke versus Batman. The line that could change everything. So Priest is writing this story, and it starts right out. There's been a bank robbery, and there's a piece of information that's left behind in the bank vault for Batman. And it is some DNA tests that suggest that that Damian is not not his kid. Even though we've had DNA tests in the past, Batman has ran his own DNA test when Grant Morrison was first writing the Damian character. They did the DNA test thing to prove that Damian was his son. Now it looks like it's not his son, and it might be Deathstroke's kid. And Deathstroke's like, yeah, I see these all the time. I mean, it could be faked. Whatever. And basically tells Batman, don't go down this road. I mean, they kind of fight each other for a little bit, and then they have this conversation. And Deathstroke's like, just don't go down this road. Just forget about it. Don't worry about it. He's not my kid. And Batman's like, you kind of threaten him. And Deathstroke's like, look, I let you be Batman. I let you be Batman, and I let Robin be Robin. But I know who you are, and I could wreck you whenever I want to. So you should just walk away from this while you can. It was an okay issue. This is issue number 1. This is 6 issues long. It's only in the Deathstroke book, so I'm excited about that. So it's not going to mess up any other storylines. But if they jack up the Damian and Bruce Wayne being father and son, I will be pissed. Because there are a lot of good comics that have been written, and I expect a lot of good comics to come to be written as them father and son. So I'm reading this to see what it's all about, but I'm also kind of about it. I saw on Twitter that that I guess that Priest was in a panel at ChicagoCon this weekend, and he was like, "Ooh, you should let DC know which you want to have happen. Do you want him to be Deathstroke's kid, or do you want him to be Batman's kid? Yeah, you should call into DC and let them know." I'm like,
we're gonna get another dead Robin.
Well, that should not be up for voting, because there are people who really hate Damian. I mean, I think it's pretty much a hot and cold. You love him or you hate him. I love him. So I'm not excited by that at all. So I'm reading this with really anxiously, because I really don't want them to screw that up. I suspect at the end of the day it's this Talia Ghul, messing with Bruce, but I don't know.
I would think so, because I mean there was so much involvement with the whole drugging him, getting the child. I know there was a bunch of clones, and Damian has died before, so this is still the same whole Damian through the whole thing, right? Right. And then this is also in the continuity with the Deathstroke book, where he kidnapped Damian, and Rose was, because it was involvement with Rose and Batman and him and Damian.
I'm trying to think if this is the one that says this takes place. I was thinking this one says something about this takes place at some other. I can't find it now. But
does he have 2 sons? Is that correct? Otherwise,
Slade.
Yes.
Yes. One deceased, but yes.
All right, because it's Jericho, and then the one that's dead.
Yes, the Terminator. Yeah.
All right.
Who I don't know where he's at now, but he originally died in issue 2, right? I think it's issue 1 or issue 2 of Teen Titans.
All right.
Way back in the day. I was thinking somewhere in this it says this story takes place prior to the current events in the DC universe. Doesn't say when, just prior. Prior to what event?
Yeah.
Prior to Crisis on Infinite Earth? Prior to Flashpoint? Prior to what?
So
that almost makes it feel like it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't.
So it was an okay story. I start thinking about that too hard. It takes place prior to current events, and then I start going. I mean, I know I'm supposed to be reading it for the story, but what's the point?
Yeah. I guess I always thought with Slade, like having a son was always the biggest thing. So I figured that would be a big part of this, that, like he could have another son to start all over again. And
no, he acts like he's this player who just, so basically what old DNA result tests are proving that you're the father of Talia Ghul's son. And Slade says, yeah, so? Oh, stop it. I have money. I slept around. Do you have any idea how many of these I get every year? Talia was a very long time ago. I am not the father of her child. And Batman asks, you've seen these results before? And he says, sure, they're fake. And Batman says, you know this? And he goes, yeah. And you can prove it? And Slade says, I don't have to.
So why would Bruce care then, I guess?
Because he wants to know, I guess, right?
All right.
I mean,
because his son is his son, whether blood or not, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. And I would think that Bruce, Batman, is the bigger person, and that's how he would feel also. Yeah. I don't know.
And I guess I think Damian I always felt looked so much like him. So.
Right. Well, and I think the other part to Batman is like, okay, whether he's my son or not, I need to understand what's going on. Why is somebody trying to jerk my chain? Batman's not going to leave it alone. Whereas Slade's just going to go, whatever, I don't care. Batman can't leave that alone, right? It's a mystery. He needs the answer.
Yeah. So then it shouldn't. Then it doesn't feel like it's a Slade versus Batman book or Deathstroke.
Exactly.
Versus, it's another Detective Comics.
Yeah. I guess what? Because Priest wanted to write a Batman book. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I'm not super excited about it. Like I said, that takes place before prior events is this little niggling in the back of my head that I'm like, what does that really mean?
Do you worry that Priest has two endings?
Oh, he could. I don't know. I hope not.
I mean, once you said that, that's what made me think of is
right.
Choose your own ending or leave it so open-ended. So
that we never really know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Staying on the Batman, because, I clearly don't get enough Batman in my life, is Batman White Knight, issue number 7. And anybody who watched my video earlier today were on my haul, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm feeling about this book. And, I want to read them all and talk to somebody else about them because I'm not digging it like everybody else is digging it. I actually really like this issue. This issue fixes a lot of the stuff that I have problems with in the book, because in this issue, characters call bullshit on some of the bullshit that I feel like is in the book. Because I feel like we were sold, at least I felt like I was sold on a book where we get Joker, for whatever reason, he gets rehabilitated. He's actually this great upstanding guy. He's this wholesome person who is pointing out the deviance that is Batman and how Batman's bad for Gotham and all this stuff and whatnot. And I was on board to check that out. We get him. Yeah, he becomes Jack Napier, but he's still being a villain. I mean, he uses mind control to control all the other Gotham villains to make them attack a place so he can look like a victim and everybody will love him. I mean, that's still being the Joker. He's just not crazy while he's doing it. And I had a real beef with that, and I have not liked it since then because of that. In this issue, the original Harley basically calls him out on it and goes, look, you never did this the right way in the first place. Because he's like, I wanted to prove that we didn't have to break rules. We could do it the right way. And she's like, look, you never did it the right way from the first place. You were bending the rules right from the bat. And they have to go up against Neo Harley because she has frozen half of Gotham with a giant cold ray of Mr. Freeze's father, and from World War II, and they're having to stop that. They've got these teams. They're going to go in and they're going to take care of whatnot. All kinds of great art and excitement and whatnot. And Jack is slowly slipping back to being the Joker. The drugs are wearing off. They don't have the same potency that they did. He's building an immunity to it, and slowly Joker keeps slipping back. And Batman makes Jack ride with him. They're taking these Batmobiles. They're driving through these secret tunnels to get to the island where the freeze ray is at so they can unfreeze everybody and stuff. And as they're riding along, he slips back into being Action Joker. One of the big things that a lot of people are excited about in this book, like, oh my gosh, your Jason Todd is the best Jason Todd ever. there's this moment where Bruce asks, I want to know what happened with Jason Todd. And of course, anybody who knows any length of history about, Batman and the Robins and whatnot, the Joker beat to death Jason Todd Robin with a crowbar and killed him. And this is like an alternate reality, right? It's not exactly this one. So he asks him, what about Jason Todd? And the Joker's like, I can't remember. And Batman kind of forces him to remember about the fact that what the Joker wanted out of Jason Todd was, who is Batman? And in it, while he's torturing, beating on him and torturing him, he finally breaks and he says, Bruce Wayne, I wish I had never met Bruce Wayne ever. So Jason Todd admits that he really wishes he had never met Batman. And everybody's really excited about that. I mean, I thought it was fine, but a page of like 4 panels of Jason Todd Robin does not make me want to read an entire, this universe.
Yeah.
Jason Todd, he's still alive. Joker did not kill him. He does tell him that the real strike to Bruce Wayne the real strike to Batman is that after all the stuff that happened to Jason Todd continues to fake his death because that's how he feels about Bruce. And that's what's supposed to be the biting moment. And it might have been, except they're racing in a Batmobile, to their potential death. And the scenes kind of, I felt like didn't have as much weight as what it could have had. Because that is pretty damning to hear that the person you're crushed over his death isn't really dead. And he's like, I think the Joker, Jack is saying, I think the Joker left him alive just because of that. That'd be one more thing to hold over the Batman. So, but it did, like I said, it fixed a lot of the stuff I had beefs with the book. It looks pretty. I know that they're in talks to already do another volume because the book is selling extremely well. Which I guess is great for me for art investment purposes. Right now, Sean Murphy is really hot, so I would assume my page I can sell it for more. Of course, it's not Batman art, so I mean that's the stuff that's I'm sure selling for a lot more. But his pages have gone up in price quite a bit since when I bought mine.
Yeah, which book do you got?
I have a page from The Wake.
Okay, that's right.
They did
the captain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, him, the mighty sea hunter sitting at his table to eat the beluga whale and stuff like that. Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm enjoying it more now because somebody called out the stuff that I was in the book, called out the stuff that I was having problems with. So I appreciated that. So next issue is the final issue. We'll see how it all ends. I don't know. I will probably, if another run comes up, I will probably pick it up too. But my mind isn't blown. It's great art. Murphy is a okay storyteller. I don't know that his ideas stretch anything, or I don't really feel like the whole, even to this point, I don't feel like the whole embracing of the Joker becoming a normal person and taking on the Batman. I don't think that really got sold well in reality. So, but like I said, it looks good enough. I'll probably pick up whatever the next thing that comes out. But yeah. And that's it for my Batman books.
All right. To touch on that then, did you want to speak about Mother Panic, Gotham AD?
Yes.
No Batman?
Yes. What'd you think of it? Start out. This is number 1. After the Milk Wars, she comes back to not her reality.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, they want to remove the whole Bat family, just kind of let her tackle it herself, which always kind of make me wonder then why they didn't just start the book somewhere else. I mean, other than Gotham, but it was a new fun depiction of the Joker as just some broken down weird guy who makes Tommy gun balloons for children and that kind of stuff. The rat catcher is the same on every plane of existence, I guess, but
right.
And then lastly, the thing that really stood out to me was her little tag along person,
her sidekick. Yeah.
It so seemed like Hit Girl from the the movie or the wonderful comic book and movie where she flips open those butterfly knives and then takes on the pretty man with that.
Right.
I was like, oh my goodness. I was so worried she was going to be kind of just a weird side character. That I was surprised. It did really work out well, and I was excited for her character so far now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting because she's clearly still damaged. You know, I mean, Violet's damaged in her own way, right? I mean, she's damaged goods. Mother Panic is, and her sidekick is her kind of own little damaged little girl. I mean, because she's kind of doesn't have a real good grasp of reality. I don't think. I mean, like this guy's, you know, basically doing, you know, is extorting money out of this convenience store. She stabs the guy in the leg and chases him off, and then turns around immediately and threatens the store owner, who's thanking her for saving him. And she's like, okay, now give me, you know, I want, you know, she robs the guy then instead.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. Mohammed Mustafa on art. I like his art, so I'm digging that. I'm just kind of curious to see where this goes. Her mom, they introduced her mom. Her mom is like the oracle for the bad guys, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out and stuff. Yeah, so
the last thing I guess I just wonder whatever did happen to Tommy Lee Edwards then?
That's a good question. I talked to him a little bit at Emerald City Comic Con about, you know, hey, you know, what's going on, you know, because he was talking like he was going to do an arc, that he was going to write and draw an arc of it, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't work out. I don't know. I guess I don't want to say too much about it. He was in kind of an odd mood. I think, you know, I don't know that he was in a good headspace when I talked to him. He's like, yeah, if I go back to doing comics, I'm going to do something that I really want to do and do it my way. And I don't know. I don't know exactly, you know, I don't know if there was some whatever, but he just basically said, no, I just quit doing it. I was working on it and I just quit, is what he said. It wasn't working the way I wanted to, and I quit.
But he's a creator, so I mean, he is given creator credit. So I just thought that was so weird.
Well, he's still doing the covers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
All right.
You know.
Otherwise, I mean, I guess as of right now, I'm not overly thrilled at her current villains. It'll be interesting to see how this grows again with developing, you know, Trouble, you know, making me invested in it again, getting to know this new Gotham. Then I guess if it's in an alternate world, I guess I don't also understand why it had to be advanced 10 years also. Because wasn't it both?
See, I'm still not sure if it's advanced 10 years or I can't remember what the bad guy's name is called. I want to say Consortium, but I know that's not right.
Right.
Whatever they're called, they've been in power for 10 years, and Batman's basically been gone that time. And they've gentrified Gotham. They've kind of control all of Gotham in their own way. So it's yeah. So I mean, I guess it gives them the ability to tell, you know, I guess kind of like White Knights. It gives them the ability to tell a story that has to do with Gotham, but they can tell it in their own way, I guess. They don't have to worry about continuity. They can pull whatever stunts they want to, and we as readers don't go, well, if she's doing that, why hasn't Batman showed up yet? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Jody Hauser doing the writing on it. I still have confidence that's going to be good stuff and whatnot. So, yeah. So I'm looking forward. I'm still. I mean, I was more invested at the end of the last one, and it feels like we've kind of slowed everything down again, and we kind of have to start over. I'm hoping that start over is not as slow, because it's not like we don't know Violet. We don't have to be re-educated to Violet. Violet hasn't changed at all. You know, we just got to see how she's going to navigate this new version of Gotham.
Do you think the restart? Do you think that's going to lose readers, gain readers again?
Both.
Another number one?
Both. Right. I think it'll be a combination of the two. There'll be some that show up for it because, oh, it's a new, you know, a new Batman book or whatever. And there's going to be some that are going to go, there's no reason to start over at number one and quit reading it. I would guess, you know, that always, Every time it's a jumping on point, it's also a getting off point for somebody. You know, I would guess. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. It'll be a mixed bag, I think, one way or the other. But all of the Young Animal books are that way. Every single one of them, with the exception of Doom Patrol, because of course Doom Patrol is so many months behind. But Private Peanut is loud today.
It's mere minutes away from bedtime, so my wife was getting a couple things ready. She's sitting in the chair and was just trying to catch everyone's attention. Yeah,
talking up a storm. That's cool. But all of the Young Animal books have start over again. I mean, now it's not Shade the Changing Girl, it's Shade the Changing Woman. So I think there's an opportunity both ways. You're going to lose some people who will think, oh, this is the jumping off point. And you're going to have people who, oh, I missed the first run of it. I'm going to check it out now that it's starting over again and jump on for the new. Except the thing is, if you're jumping on for the new, it's not that it's not. I mean, I think the Gotham AD is new reader friendly-ish. But you're still, there's details you're missing, I think, if you hadn't read the first 12 issues. So
I agree. It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah. But anyway, so this is issue number 2 of Shade the Changing Woman. I really like this issue. It's way more ethereal. The storyline is her just kind of drifting through stuff. She's hooked up with Shade the Changing Man. He's telling her that she should get rid of her heart. That there's a danger. She hangs out with River at his college for a little bit. Come to find out that River has joined a group that is hunting aliens. So she needs to go away and never come back because she's an alien. And he's like, we'll have to report her if she keeps showing up. She shows up to meet with Teacup. That doesn't go well. So she's kind of lost and spinning. And there's lots of roundabout, loopy kind of talking and storytelling in this issue that I really enjoy. But I don't know that we've gone anywhere. We're just kind of drifting through the chaos that is a Shade book at this point. As she's trying to find a place to land, to call home, and try to function as a person or as a being and whatnot. So it's I like it. It continues to be interesting, but the same but different. I mean, definitely like the Gotham AD book. It has changed gears, and so it picks up some of the elements from the old one, but definitely has new stuff to it too. I mean, it is much more of a head trip kind of a book now than what I thought the first Shade the Changing Girl was. Shade the Changing Girl was much more linear and straightforward, and most of the thinking that went on through it. This is much more kind of bonkers. She spends a lot of time in like the weirdness with just weird stuff going on around her and whatnot. So I enjoyed it for all that weird stuff, but that doesn't mean that everybody else would. I mean, because there's, like I said, there's art that's just strange and stuff. The original girl Megan that Shade steals her human form, she has come back, but she is in a boy's body now. She's in a redheaded boy, and she has shown up at her original home, scolding her parents for not knowing that Shade wasn't the real her, kind of a thing. So, but like I said, it's really kind of a strange. Trying to find some of the other weird pictures that are in here. Yeah, nothing that's going to make any kind of sense, but it's just kind of a head trip, kind of a kind of a story now. As she's trying to find, like I said, she's trying to find a place. Here she's trying to tap dance her way through friendship, kind of a thing. So she's briefly a flapper there, but yeah. Here's Shade the Changing Man's cold, dead heart, her heart that they're walking through. But yeah, it's interesting. Not a book for everybody, I don't think, but I'm digging it.
So was Shade the Changing Guy? Was that style like this? Because I only knew him from like the Dark Avengers.
You mean Justice League Dark?
Yeah, sorry, Justice League Dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. The original Vertigo book and pre-Vertigo book, Shade the Changing Man, was nuts. It was, I mean, he fights Kennedy's head. There's actually a giant Kennedy's head cruising through America, causing chaos that he fights at one point. It's bonkers. It was definitely full of the madness, and he was fighting the madness that was America. The art in it was still unconventional to this day at times. It was awesome in the late 80s, mid 80s. Yeah. It left a definite impression on me when I was in high school picking it up when it was coming out. So, yeah. But yeah, him in the Justice League Dark, he's not nearly, I mean, he's pretty even keeled in comparison to the bonkers that was that original run of the book.
Yeah, because it really seemed like they were trying to stop the vest from doing what it was supposed to do. So, I mean, I remember everything is kind of calmed down. I mean, obviously Constantine's not as Constantine in that book.
Right. Yeah. The other book we're going to talk about that I can't believe you're not picking up, Superman Bizarroverse. I mean, look at that cover. All the Bizarros. I mean, it's every Bizarro villain and superhero, or foe and not foe, or however you Bizarroverse you want to say it. So Superman, Superboy, and a few of Superboy's friends are all in the Bizarroverse. Things are not going well there. I will admit the book is hard for me to read because so much of it is in Bizarro speak. So you have to try and, when they say, me not angry, okay, does that mean he's okay? Yeah, he's happy. I mean, say they're really double think about what people are saying through a lot of the book because of that. I mean, this clearly is a completely different Bizarro than the Bizarro that's in Bizarro clone that's in the
Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Yes, Red Hood and the Outlaws. I mean, this is the actual from a different dimension Bizarro versus the clone Bizarro. And so it's got domestic violence in it. It's got some other really strange stuff that goes on in the story. Great art in the book. Some just wonderful pages of Bizarro-ness.
Yeah, I'll definitely be grabbing the trade. It was sold out when I got to the store, so I didn't have a chance to get it.
Yeah, these great scenes of Bizarro and Superman battling each other, and there's the boy Bizarro. It's got some sad moments in it. I mean, they destroy the world. They destroy the world in this, and the Bizarro world. This page of just all these Bizarro versions of all these characters. The Joker is this crying guy. I can't remember what they call him exactly. Oh, Joe Cryer is his name. Instead of Joker, it's JO-CRYER. Yeah, and he pulls a big huge handgun out of his nose. I mean, the art in it is, like I said, is just great. There's all these different, but it's sad. It's got some sad stuff in it. I mean, they Bizarro and his wife battle in this, and then he beats her up and then gets in a rocket and flies off and leaves Bizarro Boy behind as the planet is burning up and dying. It's brutal. Quasi happy ending at the end of it.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens next. I don't know. I don't know if there's another Bizarro book or not. I don't know if there's another one to it because Bizarro Superboy is still around. So we'll see how that plays out, or if we see any more of it. But it's been fun. I mean, I like it. It's cool to see all the Bizarroverse stuff.
I've always been a bigger fan of the mixed up clone than the whole universe because then it plays on the idea almost like of a magic and that kind of stuff.
Right.
You have to have this whole universe, and like you said, tends to be a little more screwy. But when you want to get in that fun frame of mind, because the mini series that we got of that Bizarro in that cartoonish style was so fun.
Yes.
So yeah, when I'm in the headspace, I do love that.
Yeah, I mean that miniseries, they just totally embraced how goofy it all was and went with it there. So this doesn't. I mean, it has the goofy moments in it, but it's got serious stuff going on in it too. So I'm enjoying these final issues of the Tomasi Gleason Superman. I am apprehensively looking forward to seeing what the Bendis stuff is going to be like, but still kind of bummed to see these guys not doing the book anymore. And I hope we hear that they are doing something else soon.
Yeah, I have to imagine they would, because it was still a great book. It's not like it got pulled off for that reason. So
right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Man, how much are they paying Bendis that they kicked those guys off that book? So,
well, yeah, they must be paying him pretty well, because Marvel wouldn't match it.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, so whatever that contract ended up being, I don't know.
Man,
that's it for my
things you wish you could see on that. Yeah.
Oh, right. Just out of curiosity's sake, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Not that I need to know somebody's business, but at the same time, it would be really curious to be a fly on the wall to know how that negotiation went. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So that's it for my DC books. I'm sure I read DC books last week. I don't remember exactly. There was like Detective Comics. It was all right. We're still screwing around with the military Batman stuff. There's some Brother Eye stuff going on in it. Some elements that feel like in the last, 15 years have been beat to death. They're continuing to beat to death. So I'm not super excited by that. It hasn't been bad, but it's like, come on. We've gone down this road with the Brother Eye stuff enough that we need to lay off that for a while. It's like the Joker stuff. After a while, you just kind of go, enough's enough.
But okay.
No,
just that. All right, never mind. We'll see how the Joker plays out again.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's coming up. He's coming up.
Oh, so you do know. Okay, that's the thing I'm worried about. That the Joker will be returning right around that wedding issue.
I know. I've seen pictures of him being the like the cover or something. Him being the priest. To their whatever. Right. So whatever. We'll see how that all plays out for sure. DC announcements. Yeah, there's that big announcement that came today. Jolie Jones is doing Catwoman. It's gonna be a Catwoman ongoing series, and she is drawing it and writing it, and Laura Allred is coloring it. So it's basically going to be the team that did the second volume of Lady Killer. That's who's doing Catwoman. So I'm on board. I mean, the story sounds pretty like I've heard this story before. Basically, there's another Catwoman out there committing crimes, and she needs to figure out who it is and what's going on. So that story in itself is like, okay, I think I've read that before, but with who's doing the work, I'll be getting it because it's going to look gorgeous.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be pretty.
And it's coming out in July. It's coming out the exact same week as Batman issue 50, which is the wedding issue. And you're supposed to read the wedding issue first before you read the Catwoman issue.
So it's supposed to be in continuity and everything then.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. And the image that I've seen, I think it's the cover for Catwoman issue number 1. She is wearing her wedding dress. She is sitting on like a nightstand or whatever. There's cats all over the place. And she has in her hand, it looks like she's holding a comic book. And if you zoom in on the picture, it looks like it's the cover to issue 50.
Okay.
I don't know. And that may just be the promotion image that they're pitching out there to, to have everybody excited. I'm excited about it because, I'm all for that. Speaking of Joker stuff, it's been floated around that there are the 3 Jokers in like one of the last DC kind of DC Nation books, whatever. But there's 3 different Jokers, 3 different versions of the Joker. I guess there is a story that is coming out Jeff Johns is writing it, and Jason Fabok is doing the artwork on it, and it's going to be a story about the three Jokers.
All right.
So the old clown prince Joker, the I cut my face off Joker, I think, and then this newer kind of looking Joker, the slicked back hair, more of the maniac kind of a Joker, I think are the three Jokers we're talking about. So yeah.
Which I guess I don't understand that either, because so they're saying all these three within the Universe Prime, because technically there's thousands of Jokers for all the different universes.
But these are all Jokers from the same place.
All right.
Which is their way of rationalizing, explaining how there have been these different Jokers, right?
All right. Yeah.
So right. I don't know. I don't know that I'm getting that. I haven't decided on that. I'll play that on my ear when it actually is coming out, because that feels like a book that could get delayed like nobody's business. So kind of like the Doom Clock thing is, get kicked way back too. So makes me a little less excited about getting it because of that. So
all right.
Yeah. Other DC news?
Nothing much I can think of.
Okay.
There's the Plastic Man comic book that's going to be coming out.
Right. That oh God, I am having a bad day. Who's writing that book?
I don't know. I blanked on it. Oh,
Gail Simone.
Okay.
Yes. God dang. I think I knew who it was. Couldn't remember her name. Yeah. Gail Simone's writing it. Yes, it's a miniseries, like 6-issue miniseries, I think. Yeah. I will probably pick that up.
I've been excited. I'm with this character of Plastic Man, it'll be interesting to see how close him and Lemire's is.
I bet they're different.
Okay, then it might be good, because I like a good, silly, goofy Plastic Man, especially if there's a decent story behind it. So yeah. I look forward to hearing more about it, but yeah, chances are I will pick that up. Yeah.
So yeah. I can't think of anything else.
No.
Want to talk some independent books then?
Yeah, we can do that.
What do you got?
Black Magic was the first one that I picked up. Of course, Greg Rucka and Nicola Scott with that beautiful artwork, which I just found out that even though it's a Sepatone brown, gray, whatever you want to call it, you still pay for all the colors per page. So, of course, it's beautiful coloring when it comes time to use the hand. Then this amazing stuff that we see here. So we have the three parties. We have the witch hunters, we have the witches, and then we have like a rogue group of
this
demons.
Demonic, yeah.
So, but all of them, it's really all about our main character Rowan and their interaction. I mean, the witches like her because she's one of them. The demons, I think, know she's got quite a bit of power and need her. And I think the witch hunters, of course, are fearful of all the blacks because they were a very powerful family.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting in the book, because they kind of comment the fact that even her friend Alex, Rowan's friend, she's like, oh, she doesn't know how powerful she really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like this walking bomb, basically.
Yeah. The interaction of the demons and the baby, holding the baby, being in the hospital, knowing that Rowan wants the partner and the partner really wants Rowan. That was a great tension throughout the whole book. I mean, as I read that, I'm like, oh, the weird double page spread when the demon touches her head and we get this plethora of images. I couldn't quite figure out what the whole thing was supposed to be.
Yeah, I wish I had that book in front of me, because I was going to ask about that if I got the chance to talk to them about it, because I'm really confused. So some of it looks like stuff that's happened or things that's happened in the past, but you get that one pretty predominant sex scene there with her and her partner.
Yeah,
that hasn't happened, right? I mean, I'm left with the impression that there's potentially sexual tension between them, maybe, but it's not anything that's ever been acted on.
Not
right?
To my knowledge. And I think, but I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that's part of the issue.
Or is it just so? In the past, they've had some sort of tryst, but he is clearly married and just had a kid.
Yeah.
And was hoping she would show up. Ooh, that makes their relationship like really weird.
Yeah. Because I think you can always see the demons in the background, and it made me feel like they're saying that they were always there, like at all these times. Because it's the faint outline of the demons all around there too.
Right. So I just don't know if it's like her desire. It's what they're showing her what she wants. Yeah, that's to me that whole everything else about the book, I'm totally understand. That scene was just kind of strange. I'm like, I to me, it feels like that was a you could get this.
Yeah.
Come with us, you could get this. We're going to show you all the good stuff.
Well, except for there was other weird ones, because I mean, there was like a mother and dad kissing a son. There was a father and mother, with their blonde-haired daughter coming at them. So I mean, it wasn't entirely sure on all of that.
Yeah, it was really weird. One of the things I did love is when she pushes back and she's like using full on all of her power. It's complete color. Did you notice that? It's not like just little hints of magic color. She is completely in color. Her entire character. That's the first time we've seen that, where it's not just wisps of magic color, but she is full on. So that's supposed to give us that, oh wow, she's like, really powerful. And she's the only colored person in the book.
And Alex can feel it as it happens.
Yeah,
she's like, "Did you feel that?" No, I felt nothing. Yeah, it was a spell, a big one.
Yeah, right. So I'm really intrigued. I'm really enjoying the book. I love the art. I don't have an issue with the fact that we're paying for colored pages and they're not all color. Whatever.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting information. I just found out about that.
Yeah.
And then she of course makes another blast as she hits the hand at the end too, to get rid of it.
And then we get the bombshell at the end of the partner showing up and saying, "I want a new partner because I can't trust you."
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Sure. Well, she's acting weird.
And Alex befriending the witch hunters.
Right. Yeah. What's up with that? It's almost like she has a thing for him, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like, talking. She's kind of it almost feels like she's being kind of a smartass and almost flirty in a way with him. It's like, and he's all getting all wound up and concerned that, she's messing with him. And then she like gives him her full name, which is power. Names are power. So what's up with that, right? Maybe she just realizes there's bigger things afoot and the hunters are good cannon fodder or something. I don't know. It's weird though. That whole thing between Alex and the demon hunter guy, that French guy, is kind of strange. I don't know.
And we get this book a little sporadically, don't we?
Right now, because of course they took that big long hiatus because of the because they were working on Wonder Woman. And now they're kind of getting back on track. They had some sort of hiccup. So there was another break, and now it should be back to being consistent again, I believe.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I mean, it is. People should definitely pick this up and trade if they're not getting the issues. I mean, every time, it's that. It doesn't have to be a big ending, but boy, it seems to end always on a good note, though, too.
Yes, they do. They do a good job of leaving each issue with some level of a cliffhanger that makes you go, "Oh man, what's coming next?" And that's great when you're reading single issues to get that anticipation of what the next issue is going to hold for us. So for sure, yeah.
So what'd you get for this week?
Right on. Let's see. A book I want to talk about. Dr. Star. So it's Dr. Star and the Kingdom of the Lost Tomorrows. This is issue number 2. This is the second spinoff of the Black Hammer, Jeff Lemire Black Hammer books. Whereas I didn't like the Sherlock Frankenstein book. That to me was a complete waste of my time and my money. It didn't add any value of its own. It didn't enrich anything. I'm really, really, really liking this one. It is about Dr. Star. He has come back to town because he's an older man. His son is dying. His son is a really old man. Like his son seems to be older than he is. He is dying of cancer. So he has come back, and we're getting him trying to visit his son in the hospital, and we're getting flashbacks of kind of the stuff that's led up to this. His pursuit of astronomy and the speed of light and stuff like that. He ends up, creating this costume, and he fights as Dr. Star through World War II, and in the 1950s. And he in this issue, we see that when his son was a young boy, he leaves his son and his wife because he has heard communications from an alien life form, and he's going to go check them out. He has a way of traveling at the speed of light. He travels to get to this, where these aliens are. He meets the aliens. The aliens are wonderful. They know nothing of war or whatever, but they kind of relay to him that there's some monster that's going to get them. He goes to fight the monster. The monster is living on this planet that's next to a black hole, and while he's there, he kind of in the heat of the moment of being the superhero, he forgets to be the scientist, and next to this black hole, time moves at a different rate. Because of the whole theory of relativity that Einstein has thrown out there. So where he's gone for hours, he's gone for decades, and he comes back, and it's been many, many, many years later. And clearly there's going to be repercussions for that, and we're kind of seeing them. It's just a very emotional book. This book actually feels like it has a heart and a soul to it. You can sympathize with this guy kind of getting caught up in the moment and of being the hero and the effects it had on the people around him. And now he's trying to figure out how to fix those things, and he really can't. Too much time has passed, he feels like, and his wife has passed away, and his son is, an old man dying of cancer. And I just really like it. It is good on its own, even if it had nothing to do with the Black Hammer stuff, which right now it really doesn't, other than it's in the same reality. It's a really good story in and of itself. Has some good emotional weight to it, so I'm really enjoying it. So.
Because did they ever mention him in any other books?
Yes, he's mentioned in the main book.
Okay.
Very briefly, just kind of like, they'll show a potpourri of the equivalent of the Justice League, and he's kind of there as part of that.
All right.
Yeah. And they've kind of shown some of the other heroes around him a little bit, but yeah, it's really been focused on him as an older man, kind of looking back on his life, and he's kind of having a conversation he's having a conversation in his head that he would like to have to his son Charlie, but clearly can't because his son's kind of comatose right now, and his family doesn't want him to be there. The son's family doesn't want him around, kind of a thing. So yeah, it's him kind of walking through the mistakes he made and what he would say to his son if he was given the opportunity to. So yeah, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. It's seems so far very well thought out and emotional. So yeah.
I look forward to that on Hoopla. I got caught up on the Black Hammer through there, so it was really good.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, what else you got?
Manifest Destiny number 34. Lewis and Clark and the ladies have returned to base. At this point, we have found out that Sacagawea's baby is a sacrifice that must be given to whatever creatures to end this, gateway entry. And so everybody else is back at base, and the preacher has riled everybody into a fever so that they're like, everything that's bad has happened because of these arches. It's because of Lewis and Clark and these ladies. So they're like, go ahead and turn around and leave. So this is South Dakota. I live here. It's cold. It's dang cold. As you well know, you're at an even higher parallel, I believe, than me. It's just freezing. The winter is coming. And they're like, well, the natives know us, not you. And they will, destroy this fort when they know that the leaders are gone. He said, no, we'll be fine. There is a scuffle that goes on. They fight through everybody until they finally, get lost around the fort. Lewis and Clark, of course, eventually get captured, and then luckily they don't kill them. They just make them walk out because a couple other people decide they want to go with them. It's been very good. I really thought they were going to get your guy, your little prisoner.
Yes.
I thought at one point they were going to clip him before, but he's one of the traitors also. So,
of course,
it's very enjoyable. The problem is there's also a spirit ghost that's been leading Lewis this entire time, and he says he's going to stay with the people at the fort. So Lewis is even losing this spirit that is this gift from a demon, and it's the book has definitely gotten deep and enjoyable. The story, it just continues to be excellent on this, so I can't wait to see where we go at this point, where it's 34 issues. Probably the last 7 issues, I believe, have been about in the region that I'm in. So, and that's why I got it. I know everything about, I know a good chunk about Lewis and Clark. The trail comes up, it ends over by you.
Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to hear, how they get past this point. And then I have to imagine that, I don't know how much excitement there is between here and where you are. So I have to imagine that they'll be ramping this up towards the end. And I'm sure they will leave your guy dead at your doorstep. So
that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I'll be willing to buy that issue for you and get that to you.
Right on. Yes. Yes. When I hear that's coming, I'll be picking it up, because I'm just on this side of the Rockies, so they have to get over the Rockies to get where I'm at. I'm actually, as far as Lewis and Clark stuff, I live in a town named after one of them. So, and the town across the river is named after the other one. So, just to give you an idea how deep where I am at is into Lewis and Clark. So, so I don't know. It could be all kinds of crazy stuff happen here too along the way. So, that's cool. It's cool that it's gone on as long as that the book has gone on as it has. That it's kept legs long enough. That it's selling well enough for them to maintain, doing it. And there hasn't been really massive long breaks in the book either. Really, has there?
No, like Image, they always take that 3 months off to get caught up. This is a Skybound, so it is also tied in with
Kirkman.
What's his name? Kirkman stuff. So I mean, I can see it's going to keep going for that reason too. That he's either guiding it or keeping it, whatever he needs to extra money in the pocket. So
right.
He's not going to let it fail. Yeah,
that's cool.
And it's the book that started my pull. I mean, that's the whole reason why I did it. The idea of this book was going to be fun. Lewis and Clark meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I'll take.
The fact, like you said, we're suckers because the fact. I mean, I started picking it up because at some point I would assume they're going to come right through where I live, and that's kind of amusing to have that happen. So I, like I said, extra for us because we live in the path of where these guys went. What are these writers going to do with that? What are these storytellers going to do with that? Is always kind of curious to see what that is. So,
and I know that you dropped it because, like we said, if there's something you don't like, the criminal who was a bad character, but you're supposed to hate him, right? And if it keeps eating you issue by issue, then it's kind of tough to want to keep reading something.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me. I maybe I was having a sensitive time or whatever, but that guy and just his general skeeziness towards the women and his comments about Sacagawea. I get we're supposed to not like that. I mean, that is the whole point.
Yeah.
I wasn't wanting to read multiple issues of that. And after a couple, I realized this dude's not going away anytime soon. And unfortunately, Sacagawea doesn't just get to gut him right off the bat. So, so it's whatever it is though. So I see in the comments that Giacchio is saying that the writer for Manifest Destiny also writes for television. What does he write? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know right offhand.
Well, maybe Giacchio will tell us what it is he writes for, because I don't know either. Interesting.
Yeah, Chris Dingus is the name. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not reading the letters in the back, so if he explains it there, I miss it.
Okay.
But that is why we are so happy to have Giacchio here.
All right. Well, it's always nice to have somebody in the audience that can give us extra details that we don't know. That's for sure. Because by no means do we come close to knowing it all. Yeah. Let's see. A new #1 from Image that I picked up this week.
Sold out. Yeah, that's so good.
Oh, really? Sold out, huh?
Yeah.
So Agent Carter and Shield.
Oh, okay.
So does some of the writing for a Marvel show.
Yep.
Cool. I don't know if that's a good thing for, as far as I'm concerned, but anyway. So Isola. It's Isola. And I'll tell you right off the bat, I do not like the typography. I do not like this style. To me, that is hard to read. To me, that's hard to read. I don't know that that's not an I. You know, other than the tail's the other direction. I don't know. Anyway, beautiful book. You know, drawn wise and whatnot. I love the fact that a lot of it is a relatively quiet. You get this gorgeous looking kind of neon tiger looking person, and we have this soldier, and a lot of it is just, I mean, page after page of not really. There's some sound effects, but not really much speaking in it. Nothing's explained to us. We're just kind of thrown into the deep end of, you know, her witnessing this tiger being shot, and her being upset and yelling and screaming about it, and then that it didn't really happen. You know, kind of a thing. And she starts talking to this tiger. The tiger doesn't talk back, but she keeps calling the tiger Your Majesty. So the tiger's some sort of royalty. About halfway through, we seem to get the understanding that she wasn't always a tiger, that she's actually a queen, you know, that she had a human form, because they're sitting at a fire at one point, and when she's staring across the fire at the cat laying down, she almost has a womanly form at one point. They get attacked by bandits. You know, it's got some high fantasy stuff to it. Like I said, the art in it is gorgeous. It has a almost cinema feel to it, but it is really, I really like it. I really like the fact that it does not explain anything to you. It just, you're just in the thick of it, and you have to kind of piece together what's going on. You know, this cat can't communicate to her. They come across the guy who I think is a friendly guy. He kind of acts like he's a monk. Supposedly he can communicate with the cat and other critters. They get attacked by some hoodlums, and one of the hoodlums gets away, and they're worried that hoodlum has got a sense that this isn't just a normal tiger, that this tiger, you know, because she was talking to the tiger and calling it Majesty and all this stuff. Some of the fun stuff in it is, as things are happening to him, the soldier will start to get kind of short with the cat. You know, like, you should be doing this, and then she like, oh, I'm sorry, Your Majesty. Like, you know, she forgets this cat. You know, she's trying to get used to it being a cat, and then forgets that it's actually her queen, and she should not be talking to her queen that way. And so then she has to kind of like backpedal and, you know, I forgot, whatever. But that, I don't know, that typography, there's the date. That's today's date on there, 4/4/2018. And that's a number one. I do not like it. I think that makes it harder to sell the comic. If I can't read the title,
I got to say, in my store, it sold out. So
yeah.
I mean, I came in and it was gone. They said it went in hurries.
Well, I wasn't planning on picking it up, but I heard other people, other creators had gotten it early, and it wasn't just the typical pitch of, this is my friend, it's a cool book. You know, it was some people that it wasn't a matter of, this is my friends, and it's cool. I like it. I like the way it looks, and I'm interested. I'm intrigued to see what's next, and you know, kind of had my fill of fantasy, and I think this is fantasy, but I'm digging it.
That is tough. I mean, fantasy too easily falls into certain genres or
it falls into tropes, right? And you and then you're just kind of, you go down the same path if you once you've read enough of it. I feel like it, and I say that, and I'm still reading superhero comics. But I don't know, for whatever reason, fantasy, it bugs me if it's the same thing. I can read the same superhero story over and over again, but fantasy ones I can't. So I don't know. That's just my thing, I guess. So what else you got? You got anything else?
Well, speaking then of tropes, Shadow Man #1, written by Andy
Oh yeah.
Deagle, artwork by Steven Segovia. It was, I loved it. It was very intense artwork. It appears to continue along with the series. I generally like this character, but I often fall off the book. I think usually during an art change. So, I mean, I love the intensity of this one. I picked up a couple one shots here or there, but this one, we have our lady who's a cop who has some kind of magic work that she does. Like she knows about.
She's a budding priestess herself,
yes,
right?
Yeah. So it's that great mixture of the physical, the magical with her. She brings back our guy who is the Shadow Man, or accidentally, I guess. She cast a spell and he was able to penetrate the barrier between the two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes to summon up her power again, and one of the other powers comes through and inhabits her body, which I love. It's a skull-like creature. And this is just great because I don't read a whole lot of stuff with the magic or mysticism of voodoo, the New Orleans feel. It's something I don't get very often. So I like that part of it, I just watched the movie Coco, and it kind of made me feel like that. It's a whole nother culture. It's this whole other feel. It instantly feels flushed out. I instantly care about it. So I was very excited by this book, and I definitely will at least go for a full arc, I feel, so long as the artist stays on here, because there are some pictures that are just intensely wonderful in here. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, even his okay work is still pretty strong, I feel. So
right. Yeah, one of the things I thought was interesting is I had picked up about half or so of the last full run of this book. I mean, and that's been what, 9 years or something like that?
Sounds about right. Yep.
And what I thought was interesting is this issue, it picks up where that story kind of ended, because it got canceled before. I mean, the book got canceled. It didn't sell, and so it got canceled at the time. And at the time, that version of Shadow Man was a reluctant participant in that. He had nothing to do with it. He basically kind of went off the rails and got himself stuck in the land of the dead and just kind of went nuts. And that's kind of where they left him. And this issue, he basically gets pulled out of, like you said, out of the land of the dead. And it's been 9 years. The amount of time this comic has been canceled, literally, it picked up where it ended before, basically. I thought that was great. I mean, so as a new reader, it gives you enough information to, he was gone for a long time. This woman, budding priestess, and him had a relationship. She was basically raised to be the right-hand man of the Shadow Man, to help him with his earthly needs and all that kind of stuff. Plus they had some other romantic-ish kind of relationship too. Clearly he was gone for a long time, because you comment on the fact that how long you've been gone, and you just going to act like you pick the pieces up like they had never ended. And like, well, for him, it hasn't been that. And there's all that kind of, so I thought I did a really good job if you didn't know the story to give you that information as a first time reader. Or if you're a reader who read that last stuff, you're like, oh, wow, we're stepping right out of the stuff that was. So I thought that was cool. I thought those aspects of that were really cool. So,
yeah. Well, and I'm glad to hear that, because I thought I just dropped it. And evidently, like you said, it ended because of sales. So,
yeah, it just kind of ended, and it ended. I remember it. I mean, that's been a long time now, but I just kind of remember just kind of ending like it was just done. Nothing was resolved. It was those kind of things where he was kind of gone off the rails because the whole idea of the Shadow Man is it's generational. His father was the Shadow Man. His father's father was the Shadow Man. It's like a curse of sorts that's tied to their bloodline. And of course, he's saying, I'm not going to have children. That's going to end this whole curse thing. And she's like, wait a second. It may be a curse, but if there is no other Shadow Man, if another one isn't born, that may allow all the evil, all the bad stuff to
Yeah.
pour into the world. I mean, maybe I mean, because
it's the Lao, it's the spirit too
right,
that inhabits the person. Yeah.
right. And that's what's been holding the evil stuff at bay. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Clearly, the person who is the Shadow Man, that's not something that he wants to do. His life is kind of wrecked because he doesn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe that is what's keeping, like I said, all the monsters at bay. Kind of a thing. So all definitely good, interesting things and whatnot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see where it goes too. I'm always willing to try it out because I think the character is interesting. I like the look and kind of the whole vibe of it. So yeah, I'm always kind of willing to see what it's going to explore. So I'm on for at least, like I said, the first arc too. So hopefully other people are picking it up. In the Vanity line. I know some of the other stuff is in the Vanity line is in the Valiant line is really popular, the Man of War stuff and that sort of stuff, but hopefully.
Yeah. And that's it. I do hope it too. I mean, a lot of people do like Valiant stuff, but that also seems to be very easy to drop because, if something doesn't sell or there's any kind of separation point,
right.
You don't get a lot of information, then boom, it's just kind of gone.
Right. Yeah. But no, it's cool. All those big faced covers. I don't have the book with me right now, but that's pretty. And it looks like it's going to kind of each issue that face is going to evolve in ways. So I'm curious about that. I guess there was like some big gnarly incentive cover where it's all glow in the dark.
Okay. Did not get that yet.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was a bit on the spendy side. It was really. It wasn't a variant cover. It was an incentive cover. So yeah.
Because you got the one with the Neil Adams, Deadman, Batman, Gordon with the glow in the dark. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for glow in the dark covers, but I didn't want to pay the price tag for whatever that was going to be. So because it seemed like it was significantly more, even at my discount, it was significantly more. So
all right.
I don't really need that. So yeah, for sure. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? Black Cloud. This is issue number 8. It's been gone for a while. Now back. This is another fun issue. We get a little better sense of what these worlds are like, where all this stuff is going on with Zelda, our main character. Basically, they come from a world of storytellers, and storytellers is magic and power. That magic and power has left our world because storytelling just isn't as important and powerful as it used to be. Way back when our ancestors, huddled around the fire and told stories, the stories were powerful then and whatnot. And as the stories left here, people moved on to other dimensions where the storytelling still is powerful. And that's this whole magic thing that we've been seeing in all these, issues up to this point. Here in this issue, they kind of nailed that down. Well, for whatever reason, that storytelling magic is leaking over into our world, where Zelda's trying to hide from all of it. She's being hunted down by multiple people. And this Zorro type guy riding this unicorn shows up to get her. He's got a whip, and he's whipping around and cutting people in half with it. It's all rainbow colored and whatnot. She ends up getting in a fight with him, and it's pretty traumatic. They're fighting on the equivalent. There's this mayor that she has helped out by hiding his idiot son, who's causing all kinds of problems in the storytelling world. But they're kind of hunting her because they want the kid back, because the wife of the politician is really upset that the son's been hidden away. And they're very Trump-like. They wear these red baseball caps that have, the equivalent of America First slogans on them. So they're clearly, the writers and creators are nailing on that kind of a thing. She is basically running to them, even though they're hunting for her, because she's kind of playing all the people that are hunting her off of each other. And they get in a big fight, and a bunch of them get killed out of this. But this guy rolls up on this unicorn, grabs the unicorn by the horn, and pulls the horn out of the unicorn's head. And it's really long. I mean, it's like as long as a spear. And the horse just falls over dead as nails. And then he uses this as like a spear to go after her. And the two of them kind of fight. And it looks lethal for both of them at the end of it. kind of thing. So I don't know where the story's going. The art is gorgeous in it. Hinckley, I really like Hinckley's art, and Matt Wilson. I mean, artwork, coloring on it is really cool. Interestingly, this issue actually has breakdowns by somebody else. That's basically somebody else is going along and kind of drawing how the frames and panels should look, and then the artist is going back over it and doing the finishes. So, and that's not normal for Hinckley, so I don't know what's up with that, but you can kind of tell in places. There's some lack of detail. Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Allergies. Thought I could make it through the whole show. But I'm still really liking it. It's interesting. It's a probably much better read in trade. Somebody's got to buy the singles, so it makes it there, I guess. That's me. But I really like it. It's an interesting concept and whatnot. It just kind of there's been these long delays. They're trying to work out some story elements that they as creators are having a problem figuring out, and that's made the delays even longer, I guess. So good stuff. Worth the wait, but sometimes that wait is a bit jarring when it gets really long. Like I said, the normal breaks, we do an arc, take a 3-month break or whatever, fine. Yeah. But when it's an issue, then a 2 or 3 month break, and then an issue, and then a 2 or 3 month break, that gets harder.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good memory for comic books and whatnot, but it's harder to stay enthused about the story and in the story if it's that many months between each issue. So, yeah. Alrighty. You got any others you want to talk about, Mike?
I'm tapped out on mine. My independent does not run as strong.
Yeah. A few others I want to talk about just briefly. Wicked and Divine. We're issue 35. It's just getting nuts. I mean, we dip back into 1923 very briefly in this is a character from 1923 on the cover here, and some of the shenanigans that happened there. Don't know how much I want to get into. There's some headhunting back in 1923 too. So the current headhunting that's going on in the regular modern era is not an aberration. This is something that they've repeatedly done. So as we get deeper into this story and we start touching back on stuff that happened in issue 1, issue 2, issue 3 of this, we're tapping back into that, which makes you want to go and find those issues and look at them again, because you're kind of like going, what? That happened in that issue? You go back to look to see the different counterpoints of the same things that are happening, which is pretty interesting. We get a reveal in this issue of a character who we thought he was one god, but he's actually another god, which is really interesting because one god's kind of god of thunder and lightning and stuff like that. The other one is a god of fire, and one has like human children sacrifices and one doesn't. So it kind of puts a whole new light on one of the characters in it on top of all the other kind of insanity that's going on. And these kid gods aren't very trusting of each other and do some of the kind of awful backstabbing things that young folks sometimes get into with each other. Is going on, so it just kind of makes everything more complex and really cool. This is coming to an end. It's getting close to it. So I'm just really curious to see how it all plays out. I mean, because we're in the actual book, the gods, these main characters, they only live for 2 years. Once they become gods, we're getting to the 2-year mark of their existence. So something has to give somewhere. Is it going to continue the chain of events, or is this the time something gets broken and something different happens and whatnot still? So really good, really interesting stuff. And I love it because it makes me want to go back and look at those old issues. It gives me another reason to reread what I've read. And I kind of like that. I kind of like having something that's gone this long, and it gives me a reason to go back, not just for my own enjoyment of reading it, but because there's all this hints about stuff and whatnot, makes you want to go back and dig out those old issues and reread it. I appreciate it when the creators do that. Because I feel like I'm getting more of my money's worth out of the books, because I don't just read them, put them in a long box somewhere and forget about them, kind of thing. It makes me want to revisit the older stuff. So Good stuff. Astro City issue number 51. One more issue of this, and then this is done as a single issue book. Then it will go to original graphic novels. So that way they're not trying to race to hit deadlines or anything like that. They'll take their time, produce the story at whatever length they want to produce, release it in a long format, and then do the next one or whatever. So in this issue, it's touching on our guy that runs a therapy group. Instead of it being like Alcoholics Anonymous, it is a group of for people to come to who have been affected by the superpower world, like they've lost loved ones or that sort of thing. In it. In this one, it starts out with a woman telling her story about her and her son being kidnapped by this Lord arachnid spider guy who is collecting people and hanging them in the sewer for food for later on. She and her son are abducted, and she tells this story about these, them being abducted, these superheroes coming to save them, and they think they're going to get saved, yay! And then this spider thing shoots laser beams out of its 8 eyes, something that the heroes didn't know it could do, and she loses her arm and her son. And the way it's told, it's like you don't know what's happening. All of a sudden, they're showing her, and she's just got a stub for one arm. You're like, ooh, that's horrible way to go and lose your kid and lose your arm and all that stuff. And but we find out more that the guy who runs this self-help thing, she that comes to this self-help thing the next time there's a meeting, and she exposes him as being a fraud, or thinks that he's a fraud, and that he is making this all up. And what is he stealing money from somebody to run this thing? Why is he getting off listening to people's horror stories or whatever? Well, no, I guess there was a bunch of stories with some time manipulation stuff going on, and he is kind of got caught in this, having lived a life that didn't exist. So he has a dead wife that died that never existed. It's all kind of like a dream in his head, but it feels very real, but it never really happened. And people don't so he tries to explain that. And all the people in his self-help group are now doubting him and doubting themselves, because you didn't lose anybody. You just had a dream that you lost somebody you thought you were married to. You think you lost, but you didn't really. Whereas the rest of them actually literally, had like their loved ones bleed out in their arms or that sort of thing. So it's all kind of really, I really like the story. I think the character is really interesting and whatnot. And I think it's an interesting dilemma. What would that be like to remember living a life you didn't actually live, and the trauma of having lost your wife during that, but not, because you never really had it, kind of thing. Really strange, but really interesting. So not sure where the last issue of this single thing is going to be or whatnot, if it's going to be just another single issue story. Last issue kind of touched on this guy and this self-help group kind of thing too. It's another way of them exploring, because Astro City is about exploring, largely it's about exploring the superpowered world, sometimes through other people's eyes, besides the heroes themselves. So it was good. I really liked the story. It was really, really kind of an interesting kind of story. It gave me stuff to think about. So
I was going to ask if he writes in certain, because we talk about people write for trade, that it's usually 5 or 6, boom. But it sounds like sometimes it's 2 or 3 issue stories.
Yes, yeah, or single issues, and then stuff will tie into stuff that's way back. I mean, I guess this guy, this character with a self-help thing, that original stuff that happened actually happened in the book. Some of it did, and I guess if you were a long-time reader, longer than me, you would know about this guy, but not know his whole story. And this was stuff that was out, probably, I don't know, 75 issues ago. And this is issue 51. So, I mean, before it was a Vertigo book, back when it was whatever it was, an Image book, or whoever had it, whoever was producing it, whoever they had producing it before that, kind of a thing. So
when they go to do it as trade, do you see him trying to do 4 arc issues then, or do you think some will be thicker, some will be thinner?
That's what I'm expecting. I mean, I don't think we're going to see a quote unquote single issue story anymore, which is a shame in some ways, because some of these stories have been really good, just kind of a brief touching on some other thing that's happening. I've actually liked the shorter stuff than the longer stuff, but I quit collecting Astro City in singles for a while because I had been reading it in trade, borrowing trades from people and reading it in trade. Then I went to single issues for a while. This one really long kind of meandering story hit that I wasn't really, it just took too long to get to the end of it.
Yeah.
Without the payoff that I wanted. And then that's made me decide I was going to stop reading it in singles. And then I started picking it back up in singles because Discount Comic Book Service has a deal 50% off if you buy the bundle of all the Vertigo books. I read pretty much all the Vertigo books, so I just started picking up. And I've liked it since I started picking up again because it's been shorter stories.
All right.
But the story that I felt like it took too long to get to. If I had gotten it all at one time and read it as a trade, I would have enjoyed it more. So I guess what I'm saying is, if all the rest of the stories from now on are longer stories and they're written in that fashion and they're not written as single issues that get squashed into a trade, I'm all for that. Do you know what I mean? Because the difference between writing is the difference between taking a bunch of single issues, which have to have each issue has to have an up and a down to it kind of a thing. Yeah. Along with whatever the trade's worth is, has to have that same flow to it. Which is a bit neurotic, I think, when you read it in trade form versus a graphic novel where you can go 25 pages to get to the apex of whatever's going on, or 30 pages, and then the 30 pages to get back down to the bottom of it. So it can be written as a long story, as opposed to, I know I'm telling a longer story, but I need to make sure it's rewarding for a single issue reader. I'm down for that.
All right.
I like a long story if it's written with the purpose of being a long story and not having to satisfy the page turnerness that a single issue floppy as a certain requirement that a long form doesn't have to have.
All right. Yeah, I just wondered because I heard you and some other people talk about these books, and it did seem like it was like 2 arc stories, 3 arc stories, and all that. And I was kind of wondering, when he went to this format, if he has to change his style, or he'll just collect more books, or how that would be done.
I think that Bruschi is a smart enough writer that he is going to write for the format that he's working with. Okay. Single issue, he's going to write for a format of a single issue. A original graphic novel, something that's, however many pages that's going to be, 120 pages or whatever. He's going to write for that format, knowing that he could tell that kind of a story instead. And so I think that's what'll happen.
That might just make me jump on. So
yeah, I'm positive I will pick up at least the first one just to see how for sure that's how he's writing and whatnot. I'll pick up the first one to at least get a sense of that. And they're not going to come out like all the time. So I think they're going to come out just often enough by the time I want to wet my whistle on the Astro City world. The next one will come out, hopefully. So
yeah.
And there won't be the delays. They'll have a done book.
That will be the best.
They'll have a done book that's on their timeline that they get done the way they want it done. They don't have to rush. They don't have a fill-in artist. They don't, and then it's done, kind of thing. So, and you get the whole thing right then. So, yeah.
And that is kind of how I like to do that stuff. So.
Exactly. Well, you kind of do that on the Hulu and whatnot. I just think, in my mind, I want to think that it's going to be a better product because it is a whole story, as opposed, like I said, taking a bunch of singles. I mean, sometimes singles read better when you read them as trades, but if you're still looking at them, you can tell that they're written 20 pages, 20 pages, 20 pages, 20 pages, not 120 pages kind of a thing. So I think it's going to read better. I want to think that that's what's going to happen anyway. So I think that's it. That's the books I think I want to talk about.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know of any like indie news. I haven't heard of anything that's.
Yeah, nothing's jumping out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we're done then. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in, hanging out, Mike.
You bet. You bet.
So I guess next week, hopefully I have comics on time again. Hopefully Jen gets her comics on time. She's wanting to come back, but she's been having problems with her books being shipped wrong also. So, and I don't know that Luke got his books either. But anyway, Jen's hoping to come back. So it'll be cool to have Jen back on the book and back on the show and whatnot. And we'll see, maybe Rez will be back next week and we'll talk books again. Anyway. Yep. Have a great one, everybody. Thank you once again for those of you who watched this whole time while we chatted, and thank you for anybody who watches this after facts. Always appreciated. And until next time, read some good books.